Hi, I'm Haruka, and I have a ginger beard. Welcome to the VFX breakdown of one of the first videos I did. It's one of the old videos on the channel, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out now, because I'll be going through that video and explaining a few of the effects that I did, and some are pretty obvious, but some you probably didn't actually realize they were VFX at all. So let's dive right in. Okay, so we are looking at this video, CLIMAX Showdown. It's one of the videos that I shot while I was at university. So this is what the whole project looks like. It's very, very bad. This is before I learned how to properly organize my files, how to edit things, and the workflow involved. So I edit everything in Adobe Premiere Pro, and then I export the shots that I want to add VFX to into After Effects, and then I export that back to Premiere Pro. And there's a way of doing it called Dynamic Link now, but back when I was doing this, maybe Dynamic Link existed and I didn't know that, or for whatever reason, I exported everything from Premiere Pro into Adobe. So this is every single shot. And then I edited and added the VFX to this, exported the whole thing as one long movie, put it back into Premiere Pro, and added all the music. That is just incredibly wasteful in terms of these big bloated file sizes that I don't need, because Adobe After Effects exports uncompressed files. So this is several gigabytes large. Even if it's just a few seconds long, it's probably going to be at least a gigabyte. And so I was quickly running out of hard drive space, but I didn't know any better. Now I do. So don't do that, kids. Make sure to just only export the shots that you want to add VFX to, especially with Dynamic Link now. It's super easy. Do that. Don't export the whole thing. It's a nightmare, seriously. This is one of the first shots, and as you can see, we have these anime lines, these black lines, action lines that you see in manga and anime a lot. Yeah, so the way that I went around making this is, in my opinion, a very inefficient way of making it. I made this wedge. It's quite small, but zoomed in, it's just a wedge, and then I used, as you can see, I used particulate, so a particle generation plugin effect. And if we just solo that layer, you can see this is what it looks like. What I did is I had it generate some particles, and normally these particles would move all around, but you can change the physics. So if we scroll down, you can see at the bottom of your screen, there's this physics time factor, which I put at 0. So I think I started it and then I froze it essentially by making this 0. And then I added a few wiggles. These are expressions which you can use to kind of change some values. And so I slightly wiggled the rotation and slightly wiggled the opacity. So it's essentially just a screenshot of this one moment in time of all these lines, and then I just change it ever so slightly, because in a real anime maybe it's 2 or 3 frames that they just repeat through to achieve this effect, and for some reason I thought that 1 wasn't enough, so I decided to have 3. I duplicated the effect 3 times, and that is why this takes really long to render, because each one has about 2,000 particles per second. If I had to do this effect again, which I think I actually have done, there's much better ways of doing it. That doesn't slow down your computer. So this shot here, most people probably don't realize that there was actually VFX in these, I guess, these 2 shots. But it's here in this transition between these 2 frames. You can see there's a little bit of black coming in, and then there's a little bit of white leaving frame. And the black being me, and white being Jordan, the guy in white. And those were actually added afterwards. And the reason is if they weren't there, then it didn't really sell the effect that I was coming there to pound his face in. Especially with this shot, if the white wasn't there, then it kind of looked like he was already clear of me before I even landed the punch. So it kind of didn't really work in terms of the action scenes. So here's the first one. And this is the black, aka me, coming in, but oh, it actually looks like this. This is what it looks like, this weird black blob, and it's just a black layer, a black solid with this fractal effect added to it. this fractal noise, and I use that to simulate the cloth folds, and then I added movement to it and added motion blur, and so when you look at it like this, it just looks like my knee or part of my clothes, and it's just like 2 or 3 frames of that, and then the exact same thing was done. So this is what the white bit looked like, and this is Jordan rolling away apparently, but no, it's just this white weird shape. It's only for a few frames, but those few frames it just changes a lot. If I get rid of that and then we look at it, I'm coming in for this attack and oh, he's nowhere near there. It looks stupid. Having that there, it looks way better. VFX doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be your Michael Bay Transformers. Look, it's a robot. Stuff like this is also VFX, and the fact that nobody realizes is a good thing. That means that the VFX works. It's working. Okay, now for this shot. This is a quite obviously VFX shot because I'm teleporting, and hey, I can't do that in real life. But you see me teleport away and then teleport behind him. No, I didn't just run around the back of the camera really quickly. Actually, this one of me and the one who's receiving all these kicks in the first place, I'm not actually there. See, it's just Jordan kicking the air, and we just filmed me doing blocks in roughly the same place, and then I masked myself out. All rotoscoped manually, each body part. This took so long. There are better, easier ways of doing this now, but back then, oh my god, this took so long, and it was incredibly. You can basically just see all those parts. That's me. Rotoscoping sucks, but it is your bread and butter of visual effects. So we can even solo that layer, and you can just see that's me, and then had me disappear by just blurring that layer out twice. And this effect, I kind of copied the teleportation effect that they use in Bleach in the anime. They blur twice and then they disappear, and then they blur twice again back where they teleport to. And I thought it was a cool look, and instead of just me disappearing, like popping out, it was more of a cooler effect. So this coming back in, I was standing behind Jordan off camera to the left all the time. There's this camouflage layer, and if we turn that off, then you can actually see me running in and then grabbing him. And I decided from here onwards, that's where I wanted to be teleported in. So I set the camouflage layer to end, and then if we just go backwards, you can see that I'm not there anymore. And if we solo this camouflage layer, you can just see that I just took a frame from a previous part of the same shot of the background, because the camera doesn't move, and I just use that to cover up me running. As you can see, I'm there, just covered. So now there's this shot, this punching the ground and making this skull appear. So this was actually an effect that I took from videocopilot.net, this crumble effect, but I essentially rotated it 90 degrees so that it was on the ground, and then I added a skull. And there's a lot that I did to kind of hide some of the limitations of this effect. I had this skull and essentially used a mask to reveal it. When Jordan punched the ground, it was revealed from the point of impact of his fist all the way to the end. And all these bits of earth floating in the air, I couldn't really set a ground plane and have these things bouncing along the ground. It just wouldn't have worked. I could have done that if I used a 3D program, but A, I didn't really know how to use that, and B, that probably would have taken a really, really, really long time to render anyway, and it didn't really need that. So he punches the ground, and then the next shot is you just can't see it anymore, and you just assume that, okay, these things hit the ground somewhere, and I didn't have to show that. So I could still do this effect, and I didn't have to do the extra hard bit of these bits of earth coming back to the ground. I guess for most people, you see this and you think like, wow, cool, it's a skull, and you don't really care about these bits of earth. It's always important to, when you learn an effect, to see what other things, especially if you're doing a tutorial, how else you can use it. I've never used this effect to make letters appear. But when I was looking at this tutorial, I was thinking, oh, this is probably useful if I want to make things appear on the ground or other. It doesn't have to be a wall. And so when it came time to do this video, I'm like, okay, let's do it. I can use this effect. I know how to do it. So now this shot, I mean, obviously this is VFX. We have the particle effect going full force in the middle, and then we have my kind of charge effect going on the left and Jordan's charge effect going on the right. So if you look at just Jordan's, you can see obviously we took these two separately, and it's kind of this weird like Kamehameha type Hadouken effect where he's charging up this ball, and there's these particles and they're swirling in, so it looks like he's gathering energy from the surroundings. And I've actually reused this effect other times when I was actually doing a real Street Fighter Hadouken. I reused this ball. I didn't use the particles. But if we just solo this ball, this is what it looks like. It kind of looks like an energy ball, and I think this is also from Video Copilot. I followed one of their tutorials to create this ball and changed it to look blue, and I just tracked it to Jordan's hand position, which you can see what this crazy line is. That's where his hands are, and obviously there was some masking done so that it goes behind his arm properly. And that was relatively simple. And then we look at mine, which is less particly, more of what the hell is going on. So for those who don't know, what I'm doing is I'm writing a Japanese kanji in the air. And this kanji, you can also see it on the back of my back, for example, here in this scene. This is the same kanji, and I actually spent 3 days embroidering this top. For those of you who know Stu from Where's Stu, he did a video where he was in Shibuya for Halloween, and he was going around dressed as a ninja, shouting like "nin" at everyone, and he was wearing a ninja outfit, and this is that ninja outfit. Also, the video that we did together, the How to Becoming a Ninja, where he is once again wearing a ninja outfit, that is this ninja outfit. So you can see on his back, he has this kanji on it. It is the exact same one from several years ago that he got really dirty, and I can't wash it because this is I don't know what will happen to that part. Anyway, love you, Stu. So yes, I'm writing this kanji in the air. This kanji actually means arashi, which is storm, and I thought, oh, that'll be cool to have it. But there's another reason. Arashi is also the name of a Japanese boy band. I was a little bit obsessed at the time with them. I still do sing their songs at karaoke occasionally, but not as much as I used to. But anyway, so I managed to find a stroke-by-stroke writing order for this kanji on the internet, but they were just pictures. It wasn't a GIF. That's right, GIF. It's a hard G, not GIF. Anyway, so what I did is I used these layers and these masks. By moving these masks, I could essentially animate the drawing of each of these strokes in the correct stroke order. And then I added a nice glow effect to it and tried to match it up as best I could to my fingers. Because I was just writing it in the air, there is actually a little bit of a disconnect between where the line that my fingers are drawing and the actual kanji is. As you can see, I also added some particles to my fingers to make it look like I have like fire coming out of my fingers. You can see it kind of here, which was a little bit cool. And then of course there are these flame wheels added to it, because just writing a glowing flaming kanji in the air wasn't cool enough. I had to make it cooler. So if you look at this wisp, it is just a flame around a ball, and the flame is just a flame element. This is also from Video Copilot. I think you all realize that I use a lot of the tutorials and stuff that they give, because why not? They're really good. Seriously, go to Video Copilot. Go, if you're interested in any of this stuff you want to learn, go to Video Copilot, look at their tutorials, do the tutorials. Don't watch them, do them as well. Pretty much everyone who does YouTube and does VFX, they use Video Copilot, so definitely use them if you're interested. Anyway, so I used this element and I added this red ball, which has the shine effect on it. It is literally just a red ball with this shine effect, so it makes it look kind of like a glowing fire orb thing, made it rotate by just offsetting the center so that it looks like it's orbiting rather than just spinning around, and then duplicated it 5 times, and then just added it into this scene so that it just looks a little bit extra cool, Japanese occulty type thing. Now for this last shot, the final shot of the video, obviously this is VFX. I mean, we have these 2 big ass laser blasts going on in the middle, and these 2 effects, these are the exact same on both sides, it's just the colors were changed. So we have this orb that's kind of a little bit distorted, and then it's blasting out this laser, and then it has this kind of where the lasers intersect. Some of it is going backwards, and I would play this back to you, but there's hella particles and a lot of layers going on here that it's actually really slow. You've seen this quite a lot, and any kind of like Kamehameha effect, there are a lot of tutorials and stuff on the internet how to do that. That's not actually what I want to talk about. This shot actually, even with this, if you just ignore all of the lasers and everything, just look at the background, this screen here, this shot, this frame is also edited, and I don't think anyone has noticed that. At least no one has said anything in the comments, and all the people that I've shown it to have never ever said, oh, that last shot was edited, aside from the obvious VFX laser stuff going on in the middle. So what exactly is wrong with this? Well, if we zoom in, you can kind of see that this branch here looks like this branch. Yes, that's copied. This area here, oh, it looks a little bit like it's being copied. There is a little bit of duplication going on here. So if we actually look at this properly, I can show you that this is what it looks like. The distance between me and Jordan, we were too close together because there wasn't enough space for the lasers. It was too small. So what I did is I masked out Jordan, and from one layer masked out me from another, and kind of put us at the opposite ends of the screen, but then in order to blend these 2 together, I feathered the edge, and because of the grass texture and these branches and everything, it worked well, but there was also now this black gap at the top. So what I did is, as you can see in this area here, I added motion tile. So by adding this motion tile, it essentially reflected everything up, but then it's really obvious with this reflection line. You can see just by looking at this whole area is reflected. So what I did is I duplicated the layer, as you can see here, and I just offset it a little bit and then feathered it out and then added it back, and it worked like a charm. Yes, there are copies. You can see it like here. You can see that this is a copy of that. But because most people aren't looking at the background, most people are just looking at the 2 giant lasers exploding in the middle, and that, in fact, it covers up a lot of what's going on behind it as well. People aren't really looking at the background in these shots, and I was relying on that so that I didn't have to do extra work, because I could have spent a lot longer on this effect. I could have searched Google for trees or something like that and tried to put these images and match the colors and everything like that so that it does look natural. But the amount of time that I'd have to spend on that versus what I'd actually get out of it, it would have been a diminishing return. After a certain point, it's good enough. And for this effect, that was definitely good enough. No one has ever said anything. Now that I've said it, people will probably say something, but no one up until now has said anything about this. So that is a thing with VFX. People didn't realize, and even though it might be super obvious now, they didn't realize at the time, and it was possible, and it worked as an effect. And to me, that is good VFX. Being able to fool people into thinking that something is a real life when it is actually VFX is really good VFX. And finally, this hairstyle, this long hair that I'm sporting, that is real, 100% real. It's not VFX as much as I wanted it to be. I actually chose to sport a hairstyle like that. Or maybe it wasn't a choice. Maybe it was me just being lazy and not getting my hair cut for about 2 or 3 months. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that look into the VFX of this video. If you haven't seen it, here's a link. If you want me to go into more detail about some other effect that maybe I skipped over, just leave a comment. I enjoy teaching people about how I do these, and if people are willing to listen, then see you next time. Peace.